But welcome back to the Wheni Heard This podcast. My name is Nate Robinson. I'm here with Pastor Joseph Tillman, Pastor Joseph Tillman, D-Min, Junior Tillman, Doctor.
Right.
Yeah.
That's fine. However you want. Just Joe.
I'm here with Demon Joe.
That sounds bad, dude. This is Demon Joe.
Yeah, this is Demon Joe over here.
Right.
Cool.
That's awful. All right.
Cool. How are you?
I'm well.
Great.
I just came from a prayer meeting, like a global prayer meeting from a mission agency, so that was really neat. And got to. You
were in the whole world.
The whole world was at a prayer meeting with me.
With you,
just with me.
Just running the world.
I mean,
in prayer.
That's what happens when you become a D-man.
Right.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I was just invited to come be a small part of
this. And next to pray is
Demon
meeting. Joe.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, that was really cool. It's just cool to hear what God's doing around the world. So
cool. Yeah. One more episode about dating.
Okay. One more.
I promise.
Are you sure this is it?
Yeah. And then we're breaking up.
Fine.
Yeah. You take your stuff back.
I didn't want it anyway.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Joseph hasn't broken up with anyone in
dude.
It's been a minute.
So my wife and I have been married for over 21 years now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
really?
Yeah.
You had like 5 years without children?
Yes. 4.
Oh.
Yeah. Yep. So
cool.
we married in 2004 and summer of 2004, and Luke was born in summer of 2008.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, more dating. Read the ad again.
Okay. Before we get started today with our questions, we want to shout out our sponsor, the Discipleship Group. The Discipleship Group is a systematic training for Christians who want to go deeper and grow stronger in their relationship with God. In these courses, Dr. Jay Zen brings you over 4 decades of study, pastoring, and teaching to equip the saints to make disciples. The Discipleship Group is a series of 6 books, each book consisting of 26 weeks. Therefore, it's 3 years of study. Each week has articles written by the author to read, a chapter from a supplemental book like The Passion for God or More Than a Carpenter, The Master Plan of Evangelism, and there's scripture readings each week from the Old Testament, New Testament, and the Psalms. I've used the Discipleship Group resources for over a decade. I've used them in groups of 2 to 3 people. I've used them in small groups up to 12 people. And I can tell you, as a pastor, as someone who spends a lot of time making disciples and meeting with others, that the Discipleship Group resources are the best that I have found for growing in our faith and for encouraging us to go and make disciples ourselves. Go to discipleshipgroup.com, check out their resources, find out information about Dr. J, and I'm telling you, you will not regret it.
That was your best yet.
On point.
Yeah. Good job.
Thank you.
Okay. Patreon.
Go there.
$5.
Yep. Support us. Encourage us.
Yeah.
We're encouraged by you supporting us.
Perfect.
Yes.
Our website.
Go there. Get some merch. Buy some stuff. It's like free advertising for us, right? You walk around with your When I Heard This podcast hoodie and people ask you about it and you're like, oh, check out this awesome podcast.
It's you spending money to advertise for us.
Right. It's brilliant.
We get all of the benefit and you only get the benefit of having something else to wear.
Which is important.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean, you need to have
something. You
something.
Go to jail if you don't wear
Yeah.
So go to our website and buy our stuff or go to jail.
This last Sunday I was preaching and I used the word naked.
Wow. Yes.
So they're apparently that's why
I came that time.
Yeah, and I'm proud of you, man.
Yeah,
I'm proud of you.
Yes.
So I say naked. That's just the way I say it. South Georgia, naked.
Yeah.
Apparently there's a proper way of saying that word that I don't really know how to say.
Naked.
Naked.
Yeah.
But when I say it, it comes out even more Southern.
No, that was perfect.
Was it perfect?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's like the right way to say it, and then there's the wrong way to say it. So in Genesis 2, which I was preaching on one time, they were naked and unashamed, and then a pastor came up behind me, and in terms of like preaching after me, that sounded bad. And so sorry.
I was naked and unafraid.
And the pastor came up behind me. So.
Wow. I don't have to be here. The jokes write themselves.
Whew. Sorry.
You're good.
Yeah. All right. So I was preaching.
Well, that story's over.
All right, we'll just cut it out.
No,
That's
go ahead.
fine. Okay, so in Genesis 2, so I was preaching on being naked and unashamed. Then I finished up, and then pastor came up, and he was preaching, following me. And so the preacher was saying that there's the way that, like the proper way of saying it, naked means you don't have clothes on, and you're naked and unashamed. But in Genesis 3, when Adam says, that he was naked and ashamed, right? He was ashamed because of his nakedness. And he said that's what Joseph was referring to. There's the naked where you're just like, you're naked, you don't have clothes on. But then there's the naked, which is the way I say it. And he says that means you don't have clothes on and you're up to something.
Oh, so naked is whatever.
Right.
But naked is...
Yeah.
You're deviously
unclothed. Right, apparently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think I'm going to go to that guy's church. Because I don't know about all that.
Yeah, I don't either.
Okay.
Anyways, so yeah.
Yeah.
So go to our website and buy merch.
I love when pastors get up and try to tell a joke at the beginning.
Right.
Yeah. And everyone laughs, but then everyone looks around and goes, why did we laugh? You know what I mean? Yeah. That was the least funny thing I've heard all week.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll probably do that sometimes.
Cool.
Too.
More dating.
All right. Anyways.
Okay. So we're going to get finished with this today.
Okay. That sounds great.
Yeah. And I have some other different questions that aren't in here.
Okay.
Okay. So we've sort of brought this up. Like the parents that hover too much over their kids while they're dating.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess my first question is, what have you seen that's too far? And what would you say to those parents, and what's the deal?
Yeah. Well, I think that so. All right, I've got a 14-year-old daughter, and one of the things that for her is they're going to youth camp here, and she was like, and I'm one of the individuals that's helping lead and
Mm-hmm.
and so I've got to be there at least for some of the parts, and especially the evening services and that kind of stuff. And I was talking about being there all throughout the day when they're doing all their activities and the zip line, the rock climbing wall, and all that stuff. And she was like, "Dad, can you please not come during the day?" And I was like, "But why?" And she was like, "You hover." And I'm like, I don't hover. I was arguing with her about it. I don't hover. And she's like, "Yes, you do, Dad. You're always hovering. And then you're asking are you okay? Everything all right? What's going on?" And I'm like, do I do that? I guess I do that. And so we're my boys, they were like, "Yeah, Dad, come on. No problem. Da, da, da." At least from my daughter's perspective. Yeah, that's, yeah. So apparently I'm one of those hovering parents. Maybe not in the dating part, but at least, in her mind, I hover.
Okay.
So, and so I think we all as parents probably kind of what I'm getting to. As parents, we probably all have a tendency to do that to some degree because we want our kids to be okay and we want them to be all right. But I think the extreme of that is that they can never go on a date or court or whatever, right? However they want to phrase it, outside of our supervision.
Right.
Right. It has to be the parent always has to be there.
Right.
Right. If there's anyone of the opposite sex there, parent has to be there. And I think that's probably that is the extreme nature of it.
Okay.
And I've had conversations with parents that's their perspective.
But to me, it can get more extreme where go write a list of everything you like about the person and don't like about the person. And let's go through the list. And,
okay. You're doing your pros and cons.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
And just weird stuff, just too involved. Is that too involved or am I...
Why do you think that's too involved?
Because it's too involved.
Okay. I don't actually disagree with you.
Okay.
I do think, so let me say this. I do think that as parents, it is probably good for us to ask our kids, hey, when you, or I say kids, when, your teenager, your young
Yeah.
adult child, whatever it may be. Like, okay, as a parent, is it, have you thought about the type of person you'd like to, that you would like to be with, or those kind of things, like in a generic kind of way, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that, when you're sitting down, pros and cons, I mean, I think it's okay, like, if the kid wants to do that with you, but I think if you're kind of, I think we're trying to get to is like being so overly involved in their relationship. I mean, the reality is, especially if we're talking about teenagers, the reality is, well, why do I like them? Well, I find them attractive and I think they're funny, or we have a good time together, or whatever, right? Like,
we like the same songs.
Right. I mean, it's typically that kind of stuff. And so I don't know if the pros and cons list is really going to help
like
matters
the
out.
Same one song that's on the Christian radio.
Right.
All day.
It plays over and
over again.
Right. I do think, by the way, that most of those songs, just even if they're different titled, written by different people, like, they're pretty much the same song.
They're the same song?
It's the exact same.
Yeah.
It's awful. Anyway.
We have a lot in common.
We sure do.
Yeah.
All right. So, I do think that could be like, okay, so sure, that could kind of like be like overkill if you're like overly involved with that. Because I think for a lot of people, like for young people in particular, I don't know if they actually can figure that out. Like, in other words, they probably don't know what they like or don't like until they've gone through some dating relationships.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would even kind of create this mythical list without having something to work from, like.
Okay, so where's the limit in your mind
of how involved?
Yeah. Like because it could go from here's condoms and birth control, go do whatever, here's the car keys.
Right.
Or to they need to be sitting at our house every time, and we're going to be here, and we're going to sit there and ask you questions about each other.
Right. It makes everybody feel super awkward.
And provide a how was your experience pamphlet that you need to fill out at the end of it. And we're going to compile those. And at the end of a month, we're going to go through everything. And yeah,
we'll make the determination if this is okay
and
or
ultimately, we decide whether you get married or not. Like, I'm joking, but that's sort of like
it can get there.
It can get to that
point.
So where do you see the line?
Okay, well, I don't know if there's like this like hard fast rule like of a line. I think it's as a parent, like I can't speak for other parents really. As a parent, like I want to do my best with helping our children navigate these things, but I think that there is the sense of I do want to find a sense of like, okay, I want that, like, yes, I want to get to know the person that they're dating, right? Like if they're dating somebody, I do want to be around them. I want them to be around us because I do want to kind of see, to a degree of who is this person and, how are they, like how are they treating, like they're dating my daughter, how are they treating my daughter? And like for my sons, like to make sure my sons are treating this individual well, they're dating, and so I think that there's that. I do want to be involved in that sense, but I think if we're so overly, I think that's where the line for me is. Like, I have to think about what's going to happen if they're dating outside the context of living in our home. Like, have I prepared them for that?
Okay.
Or is everything that I'm doing in dating or courting, whatever the word you want to use, is everything I'm doing only conducive for what it's going to be like if they're here in the house? And
right.
we mentioned this before, but for me, that's like, I guess, quote unquote, a line. Like, in other words, like if they're dating outside, they're not living with us, they're off at college or they've gotten a job in another town, they're not living with us. Have I prepared them to date, in that setting? And I have to ask myself, is everything I'm doing as a parent, like, yes, I want to check in on the child, like how, my child, like, how are you doing? How is this going? Are they treating you well? That's kind of questions I want to know. Like, are they treating you well? Are they kind to you? Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel safe? Do you ever feel like belittled or put down? Or, like those are kind of questions I want to ask. But at the same time, I don't want to be like, so kind of walk me through every single moment of the date. Like, I don't need to hear every single moment of the date,
So have you told parents before that they're going too far in this? Like, have you had to deal with that before?
Yeah, I have had parents.
And what were they doing? What happened?
No, well, I've had parents. I bring this book up again because it was just a big thing. But the I Kissed Dating Goodbye book and the way it was set up, the way the courting thing was set up, I have had parents kind of like adhere to that book. Like that's what they're reading as their like field manual, like as their guide to how I should parent my child through this.
I guess I got to read this book.
Yeah, you read it and burn it. That's kind of what I did. Not kind of what I did.
Is it worth money now?
It's
Are they like hard to find?
No, it's actually the only book I've ever burned.
You burned it?
I did. So we were in our campus ministry and we were collecting books to send to. I can't remember where we were sending the books to.
Hitler burned books.
I know. Well, not every book burning is bad. There's examples of Christians burning books in the Book of Acts, for example. In the Book of Acts, like it's recorded. Its story is recorded.
Oh,
that
they burned books.
That they were burning. Yeah, but now of course it was books with like magic spells and that kind of stuff.
Did they have books back then? I thought everything was on scrolls.
Yeah. Well, okay, kind of. Yes, think of it as scrolls.
Okay.
Yes.
Or tablets.
Or letter. Yeah, like let's say books. Like letters, kind of things. But yeah, I mean, and did they have compilations of things? Yes.
Okay.
So no, it wasn't like, and it wasn't even tablets, right? I mean, we'll say scrolls, and so, but so the campus ministry, we were gathering books, and we were giving it to some ministry or sending it to somebody anyway. So we, as the interns, had to go through the books to like vet the books that we were sending out, and then we found the I Kissed Dating Goodbye book. And yeah, it was during the winter. There was a fire going on. We had a fireplace at the campus ministry, and I just took it and chunked it in there and burned it.
So it was casual.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah. You needed to do that for warmth.
100%.
Right.
I need to keep that fire going.
Okay.
Yes. And so, no, but I think but what I was talking to the parents, I was like, do you realize who wrote the book? Like, the book was written by a young adult who has had no dating experience, much less parenting experience of a child dating.
Right.
And I was like, this is not really actually who you want to derive your information from, you know? And so because I think the problem with it again is if they're using that kind of model, they're like, again, our daughter's going to date, they're not going to court, or our son's going to date, he's not going to, or court, he's not going to date. Then everything has to happen under their roof or under the other parent's roof of the person they're dating. And like, it has to happen there. And
the other parents suck. So it has to be at your house all the time.
Well, and that can become part of it, right? Yep. Like if you're concerned that the other parents don't have the same kind of rules or boundaries that you would have. And then it's like then your child's under a microscope. And I think that's kind of crossing a line for me too, because again, if you're wanting, and you mentioned this before, like if you're wanting them to actually get to know each other, it's not going to happen with mom and dad staring at them.
No.
I mean, that's just not going to happen. Like,
no, that's why I don't get any of this.
Okay.
That's kind of what like.
So, and that's why I said that I would like to sit down, have dinner, or have, like lunch or whatever with if someone's going to come over and date my daughter, like I want to actually meet the person.
And bring your shotgun with you.
Well, yeah, but it's in my house all the time anyway.
Yeah,
so whatever. All right, so yeah, but I think that
it just happens to be in the corner right there
just
while
right
we're
there.
having dinner.
Yeah, I mean, it's just actually I could put guns in all the different rooms that we walk through. So
yeah,
my brother had that situation happen, but it wasn't guns; it was knives, and the dad had put knives out, and like when my brother walked in to say hello to him, he was sitting there in his chair just sharpening a knife. And so my brother was like 14. he was terrified. And so, but so I do want to get to know the person.
Your dad has a small penis, right?
Okay. Anyway,
seems to be overcompensating.
All right. Well, I don't know about all that. All right. But so yes, I'd like to get to know the person, but then I'm also but I understand that they're going to go out and do things with friends. They're going to go have lunch. They're going to go have coffee. Like I know, that's going to be part of it. Again, it's more of trying to provide guidance for me as a parent for my children of going, okay, hey, we want you to make sure you're dating in safe places, in smart places, and be wise, with where you are, and with who you're with, and what you're doing. But I do think that can kind of, I guess if that's the line for me, like if if it always has to be under your roof, under your supervision, yes, nothing is going to happen physically or sexually or anything else, but they're also not going to really get to know you to know each other, you know? And so, and I think that's kind of a big part of it. Like, you do have to kind of date, I think, or at least be around the opposite sex enough to know this kind of person I thought I was interested in, but then you're around them for a few months and you're like, nope, not that, you know? Or even like, you know, because you may get along really well with someone, even like in a big social gatherings, right? Like you may really connect in that world, but you don't connect as well, you know, when you're just by yourselves individually having lunch or whatever, right? Like, or going to a game or playing putt-putt or whatever. Like, you may just not interact as well in that environment.
Trying to come up with anything except for saying Starbucks again, aren't you?
Maybe. I'm never going to say it again in my life.
The church likes to get super involved in everyone's dating life and trying to make sure people are doing it right and play matchmaker and go way above and beyond and
100%.
And have people sign contracts that they can only be with someone at the church, or you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not far-fetched. So that part of it.
Okay.
How involved should the church be?
Yeah. So this was in my early 20s, and I was dating someone, and I did have a spiritual leader, like mentor of mine, and he wanted to meet with my dad and I, and we were like, okay. And so like we're meeting with him, and he's like, all right. And he's looked at me. He was like, so like, Joseph, when are you going to marry her? Like, referring to this girl that I'd been dating for like 2 months.
Right.
And he was like, you know, when are you going to be dating her or marrying her? And I was like, oh, you know, like, we've been dating for 2 months. I don't know. Like, and he was like, because you need to begin thinking about, you know, are you going to go to the same, you know, university, you know, da. And I'm like, wait, you know, like, I'm thinking time out. Like, you know, yeah, we're having fun hanging out, but like marriage, what are we talking about here? Like, I'm literally just getting to know this person because I had literally only met them like 3 months before, you know, like I didn't. So I was just getting to know this individual. And so, yeah, that was for me, like, ways overstepping a boundary or a line of going, because like in their mind, like kind of the matchmaking thing in their mind, they had introduced us and they had this person had introduced us, encouraged the dating relationship, and then, you know, now they're talking about like getting married, and I'm thinking, wait, whoa, what are we talking like? And realizing how involved they had really been throughout the whole process. Right. And I don't think it was necessarily bad, like, obviously not bad, like, okay, they introduced us, cool, and encouraged, you know, me in dating, okay, fine, like, but now it's like, man, they're going to want to be involved in like every aspect of this thing, you know?
So this meeting was like the Bond villain telling the whole plan, and how he orchestrated everything,
pretty much, and, you know, and so, you know, I was like, okay, that's different, like that's not okay, and then like,
you're not at this church by accident,
right. I set all of this up, and so, and you know, and then like, so like later on, and this is actually with my wife and I, so we weren't even dating yet, and we were in the church, and we had someone come up to us, and they were like, "Hey, can y'all just like stand just right beside each other for a second?" And so like we did, and like and then she kind of just like backed up and looked at us. She's okay. I just wanted to see what it would look like y'all together, and I was like,
no,
like, you know, like and it was super awkward and super weird, and you know, like and my wife said she actually was afraid at that point, because like we had just kind of like started talking, you know, like that's like where we were at, like barely even doing that, and so she was like, I was afraid you were going to be like out, like nope, gone, you know. And so like, yeah, the church does get involved, and a lot of times it's good meaning, like they mean well behind it, you know, but I do think we have to allow things to kind of play out much more organically.
But
you know,
this can get real bad, though. You're making it sound all
no. Okay, so I actually know someone very well. So their parents, the whole reason their parents got married is because a pastor, quote unquote, prophesied to them that the parents should get married.
And then they did.
Because they did that? Because they thought that was what the will of the Lord was for them.
Was it?
Well, they're not together anymore, so I'm going to say no. And it's, and I'm not saying it was necessarily the will of the Lord or whatever, but I think that's what you're kind of talking about. Like, that's like the crazy overreach.
Yeah.
Right? Like where the prophet comes in and he's like, you over there, the Lord says y'all are to be married.
No.
Like, yeah, exactly. Just no. And so I do think that's a kind of crazy overreach that does happen sometimes. And you'll see that like in the charismatic or Pentecostal circles where the whole, prophetic, where the Lord things are. But then I think also in just like
you, me, but he's a
right.
No, next to you.
Right.
Oh,
yeah. So I know another couple, and this did work out for them. I mean, they've been married for a long time, but I know another couple, and this kind of similar thing happened, and the wife, or before, the woman was like, I don't even like this person.
Yeah.
Like much less date him. I don't even like him.
Mm-hmm.
And then like after she said after she prayed about it for a while, she was like, well, I guess, I need to at least give it a try, I guess. And
no, you don't.
That's what I would have said. But she did, and they ended up getting married.
And them?
Huh?
Are they still together?
Yeah, they're still together.
Okay.
Yeah. And they've been married for decades.
So the church is 50-50 on this so far.
Well,
not good odds.
No, I don't think the odds are good at all.
Although it is representative of
most of
American divorce rates. So
100% it is.
Whatever.
But I think that, and then I think also have the crazy kind of prophetic side you find in charismatic churches. And then I think there's the other real legalistic side, which you kind of talked about earlier, where it was like, you're only going to date people within our church,
yes,
or within our network of churches,
right,
who have this, because what they'll use language of is like, you need to be equally yoked.
You need to go fill out these personality tests, and we'll decide whether they're compatible.
Yeah, well, there's that too. But I think there's the more of the you need to be equally yoked, and they'll take it to like the extreme part of being equally yoked. Because I agree. There needs to be an equally yoked part in the sense that we're both believers and we have some fundamental things doctrinally and theologically in agreement.
They actually put one of those things on both of you and make you walk through a field. Let's see how it goes.
Right.
Yeah.
Make sure you can.
It's like the Amazing Race together.
They can make it through this. They'll make it through anything. Yeah. So,
you guys are going on a scavenger hunt. And we're going to document how well you work together,
right? We're gonna,
as a church.
Right. We're going to video it, and then we're going to all watch it together.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds awful. But, and I do think, though, there's that sense of like, okay, to be equally yoked really means you've got to date someone in our like network of churches or community of churches because we all have the quote unquote same DNA. Same church DNA.
Right.
And so you've got to be within this church DNA, right? And that's a whole thing. Within, I find that in like the legalistic kind of churches, like fundamentalist type churches, or like real hardcore evangelical churches. And then you also find find that in like the charismatic churches too.
So what is the church's interest in making sure that people do this?
Yeah,
I don't understand.
I think it's because they're wanting to make sure that the individuals are dating and therefore marrying individuals that are like-minded, that are following Christ. That's
and it has nothing to do with keeping people at the church.
I don't think so, to be honest. I think for the majority, that's not the case.
Okay.
Absolutely. There's the small churches that are like, or I'll say small. I think you find that sometimes in small churches, but just in churches, I'll just say, yeah, there's some churches that, sure, that's like, they want you to marry someone from within so you stay there, and I just think that's really unhealthy.
Yeah.
Because
you're in a church of 50 people and there's one person that's kind of close to your age that you're supposed to marry
and that's it, right?
And she's only 6 right now. but you got to wait for her
Right.
because
Yep.
we have to keep everyone in the church.
Right. Yeah. That's,
I mean,
well, yeah. And that's kind of scary crap, but yeah. And so I do think that's part of, that can be like a reality. Again, I would hope that's the middle part, but I don't think it's mostly because they want to keep people in the church. I think it's because they want people to marry other believers that are like-minded following Christ. So like I get that. I just think you have to give for me, that's more of the parents' role, to be involved in that close of a sense. Like, so I'll say for me as a pastor, right? Like we have
right. You're both of these things.
Yeah. So like as a pastor, like there's individuals that are dating in our church, and it's not like I've ever sat down with them and be like, okay, are you sure this is the person you're supposed to be dating? Like I have not said that,
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's one thing if I have a built-in relationship with them, and where they're wanting counsel, that's a whole different ball game, right?
Right.
And whereas like, like people, I mean, I don't know as well, but yeah, they're dating and da da da. Okay, cool. Like, all right. I'm trusting that the parents are the ones that are providing the counsel and oversight and those kind of things. Like,
unless they're not doing their job, now you have to go hover over them.
Well,
they hover over their children.
Or where they don't hover over their children. They really should be doing something. Yeah. So, they're just letting them go, want to do whatever. Yeah. But no, I do think that...
Joseph, you're not doing a good enough job at hovering over these parents, hovering over their children.
I got to step my game up.
Yeah. So I'm going to come watch you hover.
So you're going to hover over me as I hover. Great. Wonderful.
Yeah.
So, but I do think that's...
Where'd the kids go?
Lost track. Dang it. Not again. So I do think that there's I was thinking about just some of the, young people that I have known, like where, like, you go out to eat lunch or coffee or whatever, hang out, I don't ever ask if I'm with both of them. I don't ask them how the dating relationship's going. If I'm in one of them, I generally don't even ask about the dating relationship. I just want to get to know the person, like, I just think that's, I don't know. I mean, yes, obviously, I want them dating someone that's following Christ as well, right? Like that might be the only time I might get involved to a degree, but not like in a overreaching manner. Like I would just simply say, hey, I know, you're dating this person, where are they with the Lord? They're not walking with the Lord. Okay, just can you pray about that? Just ask the Lord, should you be dating someone that's not with the Lord? And leave it there, right? And then that may seem like I'm guilting them or putting pressure on them. And obviously, I'm always open to talk with them. But, you do want them to date people that know Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
But then from that point, the way they even go about their dating, that's really got to be the parents' role. And I think that's where, as ministry leaders, we can try to and youth pastors are really bad about this, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Youth pastors step in and try to take the role of the parent
in the hovering.
And I think youth pastors can be really guilty of this.
Well, yeah.
And, and I've even told our youth leader,
or not guilty enough.
Yeah. I told our youth leader,
who's in the pantry? Oh, crap.
Not good. And so I told our youth leader, hey, make know that you're not replacing the role of the parent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if you've got a child that's there whose parents aren't maybe overly active in the church, that's still the parent. We have to respect those boundaries of the parent or the rules of the parent. You can't step in and say, well, the way your parents are doing it are wrong, right? Or the way that, your parents aren't doing this right, so I'm going to now tell you how to do, I'm going to do it right for them, basically.
Can't you just say the right stuff, even if it contradicts the parents?
I mean, if it's...
not generally, or in general?
In general.
Not to them?
Sure. In general, you can, you can give, overall count, but, you can't, step in and give, these mandates, I think.
Right.
That's, and it's you just can't do that. And I guess I've seen that enough to where that bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's the youth pastor or just pastor, whoever, right? steps in and gives this like almost like they're mandating things, you know. And I mean, I've shared before how I overstepped a boundary with someone who I had a good relationship with, who would have sought my counsel, and I still overstepped that boundary, right? Like, we can't give mandates. We can give counsel, and then we leave it there, you know. And then I think that sometimes youth leaders can be critical of parents' lack of guidance or lack of boundaries. And again, it's one thing to say, hey, you might want to think about this. You might want to consider this. When like for me, I can say like when my wife and I were dating, we did ... or we didn't do this and we wish we would have, or whatever it may be. And so you give that counsel, but again, then it's got to be on them.
There are people out there that could have listened to all of that and said, everything that you're even talking about, both of us are even talking about, is oppressive, Christian nonsense.
Sure.
And like, just ignore everything that you have to say about all of this because everything that you have said so far is an attempt to oppress my sexuality or my identity or anything like that. Or my ability to choose.
Sure.
And so what do you have to say to that?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, those arguments.
Now it's time for me to be mad at you instead of ask you what you think about anything.
Gotcha. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, like, I think...
So your answer is going to be unsatisfactory to me.
No matter what I say. I know. And I think that you're right in the sense of it can come across that way. And especially if we have been in church situations where the lines have been crossed, right? Where they've been, where the parent or, you know, especially the pastors or the youth leaders have been way too super involved, you know, in kind of, you know, the way they've been hands-on approach to the dating relationship of couples in their youth groups or whatever it may be. So yeah, 100%, like that can be there. And so I think if you walk away from, like, if you've come out of that environment, you're going to basically hear any kind of counsel in regards to dating and go, nope, don't like it.
From any Christian, anyone.
Right. So like, I get that's there. I also get there's the group of people that were just told like the youth group message was don't have sex, don't have sex, don't have sex, don't have sex. And then they at some point say, you know, forget that, you know, and they have sex and go, well, you know what? They were just wrong. You know, the youth leader was wrong, the parents were wrong, the pastor was wrong. This is not that big of a deal.
Because you get done and you look around like, nothing happened.
Right. Like, yep. Didn't get struck with lightning.
What was the point? Why?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I do understand from those perspectives that, you know, if you're coming out of those experiences and those environments, I understand you're just going to probably reject out of hand anything in regards to giving any kind of guidance or counsel for dating. And that's why, you know, I mentioned it before, like the book Boundaries in Dating for me was so good because I do think we have boundaries in all of our relationships. I mean, we should have boundaries in all of our relationships. Right. The boundaries to say yes, the boundary to say no, the boundary to say, I can keep our relationship at a certain point, and that's okay, right? Like we all establish boundaries that are really for our health and the health of the person we're interacting with.
Right.
And so there should be, I think as well, boundaries in dating. Like we shouldn't throw off all the boundaries, all the guardrails and go, nah, forget it. Just do whatever you want. I think instead it's better to say, no, we need these healthy boundaries like we have healthy boundaries in other relationships. To ensure that we're, we such a Christian phrase of guarding our heart, but, the idea of, hey, I want to do this in a healthy manner. Boundaries help with health. That's a big thing, right? Boundaries help with healthy relationships. And so when I have healthy boundaries in dating relationships, it's helping me to be healthy in the way that I'm loving the Lord and the way that I'm loving others, and same thing for the other person. And so I I would hope that they wouldn't hear it as me trying to like oppress or like, because like we just brought up examples of what like really oppressive, ministry or oppressive relationships from the pastor to the dating couple can look like. I would rather say, so like we don't want that, but I don't think this is oppressive. I think it's just giving guidance and counsel the way that I would when I'm talking to an individual that's having, relationships within the workplace. Like there's boundaries you set up there for your health and for the other person's health. And so
right.
I think that just boundaries in general are just, again, they're helpful and they're healthy and they're for our good and for the sake of the other as well. And especially in a dating relationship where it can be so intimate, you want to make sure there's those healthy boundaries there. And so I guess what I'm saying is I would hope the person who would say that's just oppressive nonsense, like I just want to do what I want to do. Okay, like if that's where you're at, that's what you're going to do anyway. So just disregard what we got to say. Cool. But I would hope that you would hear my heart as a father, as a pastor, to say, no, I want there to be health. So when when or if the relationship ends, there's not all this collateral damage that's following from it.
Okay.
That our hearts, when I say guarding our hearts, that's kind of what I mean by that, like that our hearts are still intact and whole, not that there's not sadness that the relationship's over and sometimes even anger that the relationship's over. Like one side wanted it to be over, the other one didn't. Like that can happen, but then you're able, because you didn't allow intimacy to get too far. You're not just sexually, but just emotionally and everything else, because it didn't get so far. Your heart's still mostly intact in the sense of, I'm heartbroken that this relationship's over, but I can move on in a healthy manner from here. It's not just devastating my whole world for, months or whatever it may be, All
right. So what is like the biggest problem you see with America's common dating culture, or whatever you call it?
Yeah.
Like the current dating climate
right
in America.
It's interesting because in America, like the stats for loneliness is like through the roof, right? Like the feeling of being lonely, right? And that's not just an American issue. That's, was it the UK?
First world problems.
Yeah, first world problems, right? Like the UK established a minister of like loneliness, like basically like, we're here trying to solve this loneliness problem,
He's going to go off by himself and figure this out.
Right. And so like, and I bring that up because like the loneliness is real, and especially coming out of COVID and all the isolationism within there. So like that part is real. And then we have these disconnected relationships, or the relationships that really aren't substantial. If it's just social media relationships, right? Like we're just like, that's not substantial enough. And so I wonder if we're trying to deal with our loneliness or deal with these, shallower than they should be social media relationships, and trying to fill that void with like quick, like with a quick sense of intimacy, and so I think that dating is trying to, like, I'm with somebody, and that is supposed to take care of the loneliness, or that's supposed to take care of the fact of I'm not really having these deep, meaningful relationships via social media. And I'm not saying you can't have relationships via social media, right? Like where but still at the same time, all the science points to, yes, you can have relationships there, but I mean, you've even got parts of your brain that aren't interacting through a screen. It's just not happening.
And then other parts that are firing way too much.
Way too much. Yeah. And so I think that that's part of it. So I'm trying to...
Hi, the audience. Did you feel that?
And so
it's dopamine and depression at the same time.
It is. It's wild. And so we're gonna give you greater. We're gonna give you greater amounts of dopamine, just so your depression is even deeper. Oh, Lord. Anyways, sorry to contribute toward that.
Yeah.
And, but
we value your listenership. However, we know when it's over, you might be sad.
Right.
But you can find someone else to listen to.
Yeah, that's okay. You can become codependent on a whole lot of different people.
Right.
God almighty. All right.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but I do think that is...
You think there's people codependent on us?
On us?
Yeah.
Probably not.
I hope not.
No, probably not.
I don't even like being codependent on myself.
I definitely don't.
Is that the right thing to say?
I don't depend on myself.
Other people... Right.
Yeah. So...
What were you going to say?
Anyways, I think that there's this sense, again, we're trying to find connection. We're trying to find this more meaningful relationship. And I think what happens is in dating, it's almost like it's like you almost have like two extremes. I think you've got the one side that's like, I'm looking for just a quick, connection, right? AKA the hookup culture, right? And then there's the other side of like, I'm gonna throw myself fully and completely into this dating relationship, and it's like, you've gone from 0 to 100 in a millisecond, and you're just all in on this relationship because it gives you some sense of connectedness and some sense of meaningful relationship, and you don't feel as lonely and you don't feel so disconnected, and but then now unfortunately you've moved so fast because so much is dependent on this relationship. And so the physical intimacy, the emotional intimacy, the mental intimacy, spiritual intimacy, and it's not just the intimacy of it, it's like the need of it. Like I'm feeling some sense of deep satisfaction in all of these areas through this person. And then when that relationship ends, it's like, devastation.
Yeah.
And then I got to be quick to replace it with another relationship.
You've also got people that don't want anything to do with it.
Yes. And that's true too.
Yeah.
And that's true too. And so I do think
So why do you think people are doing all these things?
Okay. Again, I think the dating part is what I was talking about earlier, like people who do want to date and I do think, again, they're looking for a connection. I do think, and I think that's actually biblical. I think it's actually scriptural. Like when God said it's not good for a man to be alone, like there's actually a desire within us to be with somebody, to be in a relationship, to be in a deeper relationship with someone. I think we were made for that. You don't have to even believe in God, but it's there. It's in you. You're wired for it. And so I think we long for those things. The problem is I'm just trying to take care of it just with, one night stand here, one night stand here, like when that's it, like it's, again, it's almost like you're chasing those dopamine hits, and it's just like, okay, I felt great with this, and I felt good, and it's just like, okay, but you're actually not dealing with the connectionness, longing that's within you. And then the other side over here, because all their eggs have been thrown into one basket, and there's not enough probably healthy relationships other than this person that they're dating around them that they're a part of. Now this is the circle of everything, and so everything moves so fast, and I think that becomes part of the problem in the dating relationship.
Okay.
Because it's like everything's moving so fast, and then, oh wait, but if I had done this normally, slowed down, got to know this person, 3 months in, 6 months in, whatever it may be, I go, don't really want to be with this person, right? Now I can break up, leave, move on, but now because I've gotten so much involved in all of this, when the breakup does happen, it ends up being a mess. So
they used to tell us that we were looking for someone else to fill the God hole.
Yeah.
Do you believe in that?
Yeah, actually I don't.
Okay.
And this is going to get there. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I actually don't. And so this is going to get people riled up. I mean, other Christians.
Cool. Here we go.
Yeah. I mean, some other Christians are really going to disagree with me on this.
All right.
Because they're going to be like, God should be enough. God should be satisfying. God should complete you. Right. Did you ever watch the Jerry Maguire movie?
Oh yeah. You complete me.
Yeah. When he walks in, you complete me. Like, okay. So when I was in college, that was shown a lot. And then it was like transferred over to, this is the way we should feel about God.
Right.
God completes me, Okay. I actually kind of go back more toward the movie and go, nah, he was closer, actually, than you crazy Christians over here. And here's what I mean by that. We got Adam and Eve, or you got Adam. Let's just do Adam. You've got Adam.
Okay.
He's in creation. God is like walking amongst him, right?
Oh, all the time.
All the time. Like God is fellowshipping with Adam. So Adam has a relationship with God.
That guy.
Yeah.
That guy hovered.
Well, there's no one else.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and like, so it's like,
I was like, go get her. Go get her, Adam.
So it's like God, Adam, and then, there's all the animals, and God and Adam's named the animals. And so, but it's interesting because it says that God looked and saw man and said, it's not good for man to be alone.
Right.
But yet God was with man.
The whole time.
So how was man alone? And he's an unbroken relationship, right? Like Adam's not in sin. He's in great relationship with God. And so there's this sense of like, well, then how in the world is Adam really alone if he's got God? Like, and that's what we're telling these young people. Okay. Hey, you don't need to date. You don't need to be with somebody. Like, God is enough. God will complete you. Well, God even said for Adam, it's not good for man to be alone. And so he has the animals, brought the animals, Adam's naming all the animals. That doesn't cut it. And the problem is that that Adam had, like, he had the animals, but he was in charge of the animals, right? He was given dominion over them. And so, like, they have he has a relationship where he is over them, okay? And then there's God. Well, God is over Adam because God created Adam.
Right.
And so now Adam has a relationship with God, and he's going up, and a relationship with the animals. He's kind of looking down and dominion over them. There's no one of his equal. There's no one shoulder to shoulder with him. And so that's why God looked at me and said, it's not good for man to be alone. It's not good for man to be without man.
So does God get lonely then?
No, because God is, and this is, I think, one of the beautiful parts of the Trinity, because God is 3 in 1.
Oh.
There is no loneliness built into God, but there is community built in with God. There's relationship built in with God.
So they're a throuple.
If we're going to start using dating terms, whatever. So, they're Trinity.
Okay.
They're not throuple. They're Trinity.
Okay.
Okay.
The holy
they're tri-unity.
Okay.
All right. And so.
The Holy Spirit's included in there. Did I just do that?
Yeah.
I'm screwed. Here we go. I can't get out of these podcasts.
We've talked about this.
We need to stop.
We've talked about this. And so, but I think my point my point just being is that, so there's man, and man actually needs humanity with, like, we were made to be in a relationship with humanity. Okay. And so I actually think that like when you were, told that in youth ministry, or like, we were told that at times in our campus ministry, like, no, that's just not actually right. Yes, God is ultimately fulfilling and ultimately satisfying. He actually fills the eternal longings in my heart. That's true.
Okay.
God does feel like, when in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 11, when it says that eternity has been placed in our hearts, there's an eternal longing that's in us that actually only God can satisfy. That part is true. Man being alone and God just being enough. Now, God does call some to singleness, and so for them, that is the case. But for the majority of people, we were meant to be in relationship with somebody. And so
you don't think that people out, like, from your pastor Christian perspective, people are trying to turn their significant others into God to fill God hole that's not, because God's not there?
No, that does happen.
Okay.
100% that happens.
Well, I feel like that's what people are talking about. Okay. Not like I have God already and then the person I'm dating fills a different void.
Yeah. Well, no, I guess the way I've heard it is, this way I've heard that phrase before is, all you need is God. You don't need somebody else.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, I've heard it. Well, like, you're trying to replace God with somebody else.
Okay. And that can happen.
Okay.
Right. So I guess maybe we're looking at it a couple different ways. Yeah. But yeah, the way I heard it when I was in campus ministry was, you don't ever need to date anybody to be complete. God does that. And what I'm saying is, yes, God hits the eternal longings in us, but there are temporal, if you want to put it that way, longings in us that God actually put there as well.
Okay.
And part of that is to be in relationship and connected to others. And so, and for most of us, that actually means a marriage relationship, you know? And so I do think that that is real and true, but I agree with you. Yes, there are individuals that, you know, are trying to fill that eternal longing with something that's temporal, whether a dating relationship or something else.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely, that happens as well. So yes, but I would say God fulfills the eternal longings within us, but based upon even what we see in Genesis chapter 2, God's desire for mankind, for most of humanity, is that they would get married and have a relational connectedness with their spouse that fulfills a desire within them as well.
Why do you say most of humanity?
Because I do believe there are some, like Paul, that were called to, and that are called to singleness.
I thought you meant like a period of time where that didn't apply.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
No.
So then all these arguments that people have for why they date the way they do, like we need to live together to know if we want to, you know, work to live together, and how do I know if the sex is going to work unless we have sex together, and how do I know, you know, like all the things that have been said over the years, like are those wrong according to you?
Yeah.
Why?
They are, because I don't have to live with someone to get to know that individual. Okay. Now, are there things that I'm going to learn about that individual once we're married and living together? Yes.
Okay.
No doubt. But I think that also is for me, that's, you know, you get to know a person, and yes, there are things you're going to get.
And this can go all the way down to, like, are they a good kisser? We need to kiss each other to know. Yeah.
Right.
Sorry.
No, you're good. And so yes, I don't think you have, again, I don't think you have to live with each other to get to know one another. Mm-hmm. But yes, there are things you're going to get, once you're married and living with each other, you're going to get to know about the other person. And that may be a little shocking to you, or that may annoy you, or whatever. But because you've developed a friendship that doesn't require you having to live together, because you've developed a friendship, and hopefully you're learning how to communicate and talk with each other, these things can be dealt with. Because the reality is, even if I live with someone for a period of time, trying to get to know them, and then, let's say we get married, and then, we're continuing to live together, there's still things that we're going to learn about the other person later on living with them, and people do change, right? Like, and so I think all of these things are kind of part of it. So for example, Melanie said that, early on in our relationship, she would reach over after, after we were married and living together, she'd reach over and hit my face a little bit, when we were in bed, because she was like, you just make this weird noise when you sleep, and it's like, we all have those kind of weird little things, that we learn about each other, but it doesn't mean oh my gosh, this is a deal breaker. No, it's just, all right, that's different, or that's annoying. Let's figure this stuff out. Right. So I don't think you have to live together to know each other. And the whole idea of, all right, we got to have sex, and to make sure the sex is okay. Well,
right.
That one just drives me a little bit crazy, if I'm being honest, because here's why.
Why?
Because for me, sex is actually something that actually can evolve over time and actually become better over time. And so to gauge if sex is good or not within, you need to have sex to see if it's good or not. Well, because a couple things. You may have sex and go, well, that wasn't great, but it doesn't mean it's not going to become great. Okay? Because, because as you're growing together in intimacy in other ways, sexual intimacy can grow as well. And also then so there's that one part. There's the other part of like, well, sex was awesome. And it's this, and if sex is just seen in this context of, this kind of passionate, romantic sex. And so, oh yeah, sex is great. And then you get married. And then at some point in time, it's not just this passionate, romantic thing. Like, are you just going to go, well, no, that's no good. Let's end this, or let's break up, or whatever. Whether you've gotten married or not gotten married, maybe you've just been living together and you're like, well, sex is boring now. I'm out. Like, no, but I think that, people actually work on these things. And so you talk about sex, you communicate about sex. Like, I think for maybe there's a lot of couples.
Yeah, but relationships should just be amazing all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think maybe that's the false reality we get from, whether it's from other people or social media or movies or whatever, right? Like, the reality is, in every aspect of our relationship, we're going to work at it, to grow in intimacy. So whether that's communication, that's conflict resolution, whether that's speaking love languages, whether that is sex, whatever it may be, we're always working at it, hopefully, and growing in it, and so, my wife and I would say sex at, after 21 years of marriage is way better than sex in the first few months of marriage. We would actually say that. And so I think that, again, though, it's growing in intimacy, it's growing in relationship, it's working on things, it's communicating about things. And I just think these are all things that can be part of a healthy marriage relationship.
All right, so one more time. How should Christians date? One more go.
Starbucks.
See if we can do it without Starbucks. Just cap us off again.
All right. If you're a young person living in your parents' home, okay, the parents do need to be part of the process in the sense of
a little bit, but not all the time.
Not all the time.
Okay.
And so date, and when you go out on dates, do it in public spaces. Okay. Get to know the person, honor the Lord, honor the other individual, love the Lord, love that other individual, respect them, honor them, and so with a goal of getting to know that person. Okay. And for individuals that are dating outside of the context of parents' home, okay, and I do think this is where that part differs. I'm not going to have parents as part of the process, but I would say this: have individuals that you trust that can give you counsel, that can hold you accountable to things. Like, I would have those people involved, not in the sense that they got to meet the person and they got to go out on dates with us, or we have the girl. I'm not saying that kind of stuff, right? Like, but you want individuals that you trust, that can give you counsel, that you trust, that can hold you accountable to things. And again, public spaces, and because again, the goal is get to know the person and get to know what is their, get to know them about in their regards to their faith, get to know them in regards to their likes and their dislikes, get to, what are their hobbies, their activities, what are the things that they enjoy doing. You want to, those are all the things, and then go do things together, right?
Sitting in the back of a movie theater is technically a public space.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Just throwing it out there.
Throwing it out there. Yeah.
Sorry for all. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just trying to make things hard. I guess. Throwing ideas out there.
I know. Thanks for that, Nate. I appreciate that.
It was called public storage. We rented out one of the public storage units. We were in public.
Oh, no. Okay, so, but you understand what I'm saying, obviously.
It'd get really hot in there. Unless you got a climate control one.
Dude, those climate control ones are pretty awesome.
Yep.
So, but not for that.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying.
I do. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So, again.
There's no way around what you're saying at all.
Again, public spaces, and again, it's just for accountability purposes. Number one, but and then you can do things with your family. Like when Melly and I were dating, like I did stuff with her family. She got to know my family. Yeah, that's part of it too. So yeah.
So Starbucks till you're married. That's what you're saying.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Just
bring it back to that.
Starbucks should be sponsoring us at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Somebody tell them.
Yeah. Cool.
But,
sorry, discipleship group. we got a new sponsor.
And they're paying us buck.
Right.
So that's just Anyway.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all right, we're done with dating now.
Good.
Wow. Then we're gonna do marriage at some point.
Lord.
Talk about that.
Yeah.
Get into that.
Okay.
Maybe we'll wait a little bit of time so I can, have some more good times and some bad times to reference point in my questions.
You need to be married a little bit longer.
Yeah, a little bit longer.
You need some more experiences. Yeah.
Right. So that I can get angrier and have more jokes to tell. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
And then eventually, because I don't know if anyone else feels like it, but I feel like it sometimes. We just dance around the fact that, the L's and the G's and the B's and the T's exist. And just sort of keep all that out of these discussions. And that's going to have to get talked about at some point. And that's going to be a whole thing.
That is going to be a whole thing.
Better be prepared for that. Be thinking about them.
I will.
Okay.
I will.
Cool.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, go to Patreon, $5. Like, subscribe, share, comment, follow, download. You can follow the podcast on Facebook and Instagram at When I Heard This Podcast, and X and locals at When I Heard This. Ring the notification bell. Tell everyone that you know about the show, and go to the website where there's t-shirts. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Nate Robinsoff. You can follow Joseph on Instagram at
Rev Joe T.
This has been the When I Heard This Podcast, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.